for joining us at the NDTV World Summit.
No, thank you so much. Firstly, good afternoon and sorry to keep everyone waiting here. Couldn't help it, but I'm here, so
Not blaming
looking forward to this. I'm not sure I'm looking forward to this, but I'm here.
We are looking forward to this interaction with you. Everyone in the audience has told me at least one question that I had to put across to the chief selector, but I have the power. So let's see. So, Ajit, in your introduction, I said that you are someone who's seen and served Indian cricket from all angles. So, your professional career has been exceptional. You've been there in the comm box. And now, as the chief selector, which of the three roles has been most satisfying and which one has been most challenging?
I mean, I'd probably go to the easier one first. Being a commentator, I mean no disrespect when I say that. It's still a lot of work. It's spending a lot of hours at the ground. But as long as you get the right words out, your job as a commentator is done and you go home. Playing obviously gives you the most satisfaction. There's no doubt about it. Every time you step on the field, you know your job's on the line, your place is on the line. Very little margin between a win and a loss. That's on the line. The one thing that goes for you when you're a player is at least the ball or the bat's in your hand. You more often than not, it's if you play well or you make a mistake, dictates on where you go as a player.
Right.
As a selector, once you pick a squad of 15, and that's it, there's nothing else in your hand. It is challenging because of the depth of cricketers that we have at the moment. Like I said, a lot of the things are out of your hands once you pick the team. But what you know is it is a demanding job, hectic, high pressure job, but it's a big responsibility because once you've been a player, you know that you're shaping careers, like you said. A decision that you make can impact on a player's career in a good or a bad way. And you can't please everyone, but you try and do as a selector the best job that you can.
And it's a huge responsibility.
It is, there's no doubt about it. I mean, and we are well aware of it. Especially once you've been a player, you're aware of what you feel as a player. And that's the first thing that I keep telling myself, what would a player feel? And that's why most times you're in contact with the players, whether you pick them or you don't pick them. And like you said, it's a huge responsibility.
So let me take you a little back in time, when you were a player. What was your perspective of the selectors? Were you cynical about them? How would you look at the selectors at that point in time and their decisions?
I mean, it was a little bit different back then. I think I was chatting with someone, I think Rika, a little while back. I don't think I've ever spoken to a selector in my life when I was playing. A lot of players are now comfortable approaching a selector. I know that some of them I've played with towards the end of my career. Some of them when I was with Delhi Capitals for a couple of years, I've gotten to know them. So they perhaps are a lot more comfortable, but I think that's a generational shift. They don't mind picking up the phone and calling the selector and asking why am I not in that squad or what's the plan going ahead, which is nice.
That's a great insight. We never knew this happens.
And it's a good thing. And like I said, our times were a bit different. You didn't quite have that access. Now that they do, and it's my responsibility to answer within reason the questions that I can answer. But it's always they'll get 100% of the truth from me, what the selectors are thinking or what the conversations with a captain or coach have been. And that's the only way forward, because as long as you're honest with the player, then it's up to him. He may not like it all the time. Most often they don't like it. But at least they know where we stand.
But being the selector of Indian men's team, being chief selector, it's never easy because there are so many critics out there, especially with social media. One, obviously, some players who get left out, they are not happy. Their fan army is not happy. How do you deal with that amount of pressure? Because, we have so much of talent in our country. You select 15, equally capable 30 are sitting out. How do you deal with this pressure?
Yeah, I mean, if you pick 150 tomorrow, they'll still miss that one or two players who's not been picked in that, which is a good problem to have as a selector, that you have so many players to pick from. It improves the competition levels, the performance level stays high. With regards to, the sport is so popular in India, it's followed so widely that there are going to be people who will be critical of your decisions. The fan bases have increased multiple times over the last few years.
Absolutely.
Social media, I mean, the best way to do it is not read or listen to what's said about you, good or bad. And I've done that as a player because I didn't think it helped me. More so as a selector. Every now and then someone will still send you something. Because a lot of it, and we as selectors keep discussing amongst ourselves as well. Try and not read as much as you can. Every time you'll notice something. But you will never be able to do your job objectively if you start worrying about what X, Y, or Z. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. It's how it is.
But don't tell me that you haven't taken note of hashtags like justice for Shreyas Iyer, justice for Sanju Samson.
No, I haven't. I promise you. And because I am on social media, but the presence is not there. Especially after this job, I've made it a point not to, because it's a no-win situation as a selector. Even as a coach or a captain of the team, it's because there are so many players to pick from. Somebody will like the other player or that one player who's missing. So. No, better stay away from it. Five of us watch a lot of cricket through the course of the year. So we are watching each and every player, or as much as possible between the five of us, what they do through the course of the year, which a lot of people sitting here may not know. They might just look at 2 months of the IPL or a couple of tournaments and say that player deserves to be there. But there are other guys who've been doing just as much through the course of the year, and that only we know. But it's impossible to explain about every individual to people. So rather stay away from it. It's helped me. So whether there's a good thing said or a bad thing, doesn't really affect.
Fair enough. I will come to that part which you mentioned about, how IPL shapes the narrative. The performance in IPL shapes the narrative a lot of times, especially amongst the cricket-watching, cricket-lover Janta. But first of all, as chief selector of the men's cricket team, is there a set template? What are the green flags, if I could ask you to list down for us, that you look for in a player when you make a decision, okay, this person is best suited to be named in the 15 that we are selecting for a series or tournament?
It's a very loaded question. I might be an entire day answering it. Obviously, fitness these days, with the amount of cricket that is played, with IPL now, the 2 months, sometimes we used to get that time off back in the day. That's taken away now. So you're practically playing 10 to 11 months a year. So fitness makes, it is the primary thing. Guy needs to be fit to be able to be available for those 10 or 11 months that we play. Form dictates if he maintains his place in the team or not. The player knows it. We don't have to tell him as a selector. But with that, you are well aware of which players you want to give a longer rope to. And perhaps some other guy may not get as long a rope. Those players, that again is a judgment call. Comes with the selectors. Obviously, you discuss with the coach and the captain a lot, because eventually they've got to run the team that you pick. You've got to have one eye on the future. There is no two ways about it. It doesn't mean you forget the present, because you've got to win the games at hand. But maybe half eye, if not an eye on the future, because eventually your job is in next 3, 4, 5 years' time to leave Indian cricket in good health. For the next guy who comes in, it should be a slightly easier job for him when he starts. But form and fitness are critical.
So the three things that you've listed is form, fitness, and future potential. How do we bring experience in the mix?
At the moment we are blessed with experience here. It's not, the good players will play for a period of time, and that's where you gain experience. The thing that, I know BCCI gets blamed for a lot of things, but a lot of people that don't realize, not just the national team that's playing. There's an India A team, there's an emerging team, there's obviously first-class structure, which is improving, and we have a lot of teams. So all those things go into getting a player that experience. IPL is such a high-pressure, highly competitive tournament that when a guy comes to the Indian team or the national team, he's more or less ready. I think when we played, there wasn't as much exposure to playing against different countries or different players, or with overseas players, that sometimes you took a little bit of time to get adjusted to to the top level. I don't think that's the case with players
Not
anymore today. I think most of them, when they make their debuts, are ready to go out and perform, and which is a real makes our job a lot easier.
Does it make your job easy to have experienced players and that legacy, or does it make it more difficult? Because, we have a list of our experienced players who refuse to compromise on their fitness. So that area they have covered. Form also, they say, form is temporary, class is permanent. So is it a sort of a burden to have legacy cricketers and then, sort of find a place for themselves in your team?
No, not at all. I mean, you have those legacy cricketers because they've created it for themselves.
Yeah.
Because of their performance over the years. I mean, there is no one team in world cricket who will not want experience in their team. It's always got to be a balance between some of our youth players or the newer players and your experienced players to guide them. And it's been the case through history. So, no, you'd rather have those experienced players playing well, which, once you've been around forever, you take pride in your performances.
Yeah.
I don't, I mean, like I said, they've created that legacy for themselves, and, you treat them with that respect, and there's always that respect when somebody's been around for 10, 12, 15 years. Maybe some of the conversations don't come out that you have with those players, but there's nothing but respect for the guys that have achieved that long, and you want them around the team because there are a lot of young guys that come through every year. We have at least 6 or 7 guys that make their debuts, and with different formats now, perhaps sometimes more.
Yeah.
You want those young, senior guys to guide them, and the longer they play, it's always good for the team.
And I'm coming to the inevitable question, which, if I were to ask for a poll in this audience, if not 195% would say that they would want to see Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma in the 2027 ODI World Cup squad. What are your thoughts as the chief selector?
I thought you'd never ask, so. No, look, I mean, they're part of that squad at the moment for Australia. Like I said, they've been incredible players for a long period of time, and it's probably not the forum to keep harping on individuals because you want to try and focus on the team, what the team wants to achieve. And in 2 years' time, we don't know what the situation is going to be. So why just them two? It could be some other younger players.
No, specifically for the two of them. Can I ask you that their future, their probability of being a part of the squad in 2027 would now depend on each and every ODI series that will be played between now and 2027?
I mean, that'll be a bit silly, isn't it? When the guys have one average is over 50 and one average is close to 50. So you're not going to put them on trial for every game. But 2027 is a long way away. Both of them play one format. They're playing cricket after what? We played 8th or 9th of March was the Champions Trophy final. They'll play 19th of October. They haven't had a lot of cricket.
7 months.
Yeah, so once they start playing, and then you assess as you go forward. They're not on trial. They've achieved all they had to achieve in terms of not just winning trophies, but runs. So it's not that if both of them don't get runs this series, that will be the reason they won't be there. Or if they get 300s, that is the reason they play 2027. It's still a long way away, and we see how the team shapes up. But we have some ideas, and as we go along, we'll probably have a better idea of where the team is progressing to.
Right, and can I just ask you to reflect on the period when both of them, decided to walk away from T20s and Test matches, and now focusing only on one-day cricket? Did you get a lot of hate mails? आपने ऐसा करा है, आपने इन्हें retire करवाया है.
Like I said, I don't read apart from the official BCCI emails. But no, I mean, look, both of them have been stalwarts of Indian cricket. They both approached. They felt it was a new WTC cycle, and whatever people might think or not think, that is the reality. I think both were very aware. Perhaps they may not have gone for those 2 years as test players for that WTC cycle. And look, England was a series where we would have loved some experience, frankly. And the performance was incredible, even though we didn't win. Under a young captain, which was always going to be difficult, but we would have liked some experience, but they had made their decision, and once you played for as long as they have, and they're sure about what decision they want to make to walk away from a particular format, you've got to respect that. I mean, whether we try to talk them into playing, I'll keep it to
But that
myself.
was a very curious time, Ajit, because, people were quoting from Rohit Sharma's social media handles only that 15 days prior to announcing his retirement, he was looking forward to England, and then suddenly we have the decision.
I mean, you would know.
You were also taken by surprise?
I didn't read his social media, so I usually talk to the player. So no, but look, I think you've got to focus on the team that played in England. I think the guys went there and drew that series against all odds. I don't think anyone gave us a chance with that team. So why not focus on the performances that the current players are doing rather than guys who've retired as good as players that they've been. They're no longer part of the test team. So rather maybe applaud the guys who actually went out there and performed instead of trying to find faults with other things.
And the team was fantastic. Of course, you guys making some very, very difficult calls, but the calls which were matched with heart and hard decisions, if I could say that. And it's been incredible to see the boys performing.
Yeah, but I mean, that's been the case over the years. It's not the first time when a senior player has retired or been left out or has walked away from the game. Well, we've had one guy who played 200 test matches who's not playing anymore. I mean, so that's the nature of sport. The transition is natural. When you do it, how you do it, it has to be in the interest of the team.
Yeah.
And that is our job and our responsibility. And as long as we, perhaps may not get it right all the time, but the intentions are always right. And you hope that you make the right decision at the right time.
Ajit, I want you to just give us an insight into what happens in that, boardroom meeting with the chief selector and the other four sitting around you on the table. Are there moments when you are frustrated, when you would just, be dramatic in that meeting and say, nahi, isko nahi lena tha, isko lena tha? Just give us a bit of an insight. What happens in the meeting when you've made a decision?
I mean, we generally have lots of chat before going in the meeting anyway. I mean, look, like I said, captain and coach, to me, I mean, even though the decision is for 5 of us to make, I think captain usually sits in the selection meeting. So eventually, once you reach that selection meeting, most of us are on the same page. You've had lots of discussions leading up to that and lots of disagreements, which is important. I mean, there are 5 people who will have 5 different thoughts. Hopefully not 5 different thoughts, but different thoughts. But invariably, there are always 12, 13, 14 players that pick themselves. And those disagreements are healthy, which means that you have more than one option for a particular spot. And eventually, it's our decision to make. I mean, Rahul Dravid was coach before that. And he's a dear friend. And we've had some, I won't call it bust-ups, but we've had some real disagreements with regards to what he wants. But that's because we are trying to do what's in the interest of the team and try and pick the best 15. Similarly, with the captains, Rohit before this and Shubman's very new, you want to discuss. Our job is to try and give the best possible 15 so that the captain and the coach can make their life a little bit easier. And if you don't involve them part of the discussion, it'll be a bit foolish. So eventually, yes, there will be certain calls which we don't agree with them, which we make. But invariably, every call is taken within the interest of the team and depending on what series you're playing, what the future holds. Obviously, there's a T20 World Cup coming, so you're 6-8 months or a year before that, you start planning for that. Then there's a 50-over World Cup coming. There's a WTC cycle which keeps going. So you have different plans for that, but no, it's not as dramatic as it's made out to be at the selection.
So can I ask you to perhaps help us understand when our team is selected, in percentage-wise, if you were to divide it, how much of it is a selector's team and what is the component of the coach and the captain's choice?
I don't think there are any percentages. I think in general you have, like I said, you have discussions. Even now, when the team's playing in Australia, I'll have discussions with a Gautam Gambhir or a Shubman Gill, and there's a South Africa series immediately to follow. So you're always constantly trying to see how best you can improve the team. So there are no percentages. They'll have their thoughts, we'll have ours.
Is it 50-50, 60-40, 70-30?
No, I think we're more or less on the same page. There'll always be one or two things that you perhaps debate on a little bit. Like I keep saying, fortunately we are in a position we have lots of options.
Yeah.
So it makes our life a little bit easier. Maybe not in terms of fans who want the other player that we don't pick. But we have options, and at the moment we are happy with the way it's working. Whether it was when Rahul was here or Gautam's here now, and we have a new captain at in charge now. So, no, there's no percentages here. We usually agree with everything.
You know, you've been a calm performer on field, and that's the temperament that I can notice here on stage also, and perhaps the way you accept the challenges of being the chief selector as well. That's something perhaps that shows with your personality. But I know, Ajit, you've said that you don't go on social media and you don't see what's being written over there. But how do you look at the response that comes from some of the players on some of the decisions that you've made? And I'm going to quote here, you must have at least heard about Mohammad Shami very openly saying that if I was not fit enough to be a part of a 50-over squad, then how come I'm playing a Ranji game?
I mean, if he says that to me, I'll probably answer that. I don't know. I haven't
Here.
No, I mean, if he was here, I'll probably do that. Look, I'm not quite sure what he said on social media. Maybe if I read that, I might give him a call. But my phone's always on for most players, and I've had multiple chats with him over the last few months. I don't want to try and give you a headline here, but.
And why not?
No, I mean, again, look, he's been an incredible performer for India. If he said something, maybe that's a conversation for me to have with him or him to have with me. But even before England, we said if he was fit, he would have been on that plane. Unfortunately, he wasn't. And our domestic season has just started, so we'll see if he's fit enough. And we'll see where it goes, because this is the first round of Ranji games that's going on. We'll find out in a couple more games if he's fit. Look, with his quality, if he's bowling well, why would you not want to have someone like a Shami? But what we found in the last 6-8 months to a year, even leading up to the Australia tour, which you were desperate to have him on, unfortunately his fitness wasn't there. And if he does keep fit over the next few months, who knows, the story might be different. But at this point, as far as I know, he wasn't fit enough for that England tour.
You've given me my headline. Thank you so much. No, a final question to you, and you can pick just one word to answer that. When history looks back at your tenure, your time as the chief selector, what would your legacy stand for? Consistency, courage, or transformation? You can pick.
I think it's probably for other people to talk about it. I don't think you come... As a player, you're a bit more... I don't want to say driven. Even selector is a very responsible job. I sometimes find it difficult to switch off. No, not legacy. Like I said before, I think the one thing I'm very mindful of, how responsible this job is in terms of where Indian cricket goes. The one thing I would certainly want to do as a selector is when I do finish my term, leave the team in a nice pace for the next guy to come in and not have to worry too much about trying to fit in multiple pieces. That is always the hope. That is always the intention. It's not always easy, but that's the intention. If I can do that, I think I'd be happy when I finish.
Great, and I think you've given that transformative note to your legacy already. Thank you so much, Ajit. It was a pleasure hosting you here. And ladies and gentlemen, can we have a big round of applause for someone who's holding a post which is so critically observed, not just in India, even outside, by all the cricket lovers. Ajit, before we let you go, we would like to give you a token of thanks. Can we please request the ushers to bring in the memento? And like I said, pleasure having you here. Thank you.